Hey everybody, it's Kelly Lehman from Cranbury Fields, and I'm here today to show you how to make this adorable October pumpkin arrangement. Now, the base that we chose for this arrangement is ceramic, and you can find a lot of adorable ceramic pumpkin vases this time of year at Michael's, AC Moore, your local craft stores. Sometimes even Walmart carries them. But you can also try this arrangement out in a fresh pumpkin. So if you carved out your pumpkin, you can use that as your vase vessel, but know that it will disintegrate after, I guess, a few days. So you might be better off looking for a ceramic vase that you can use year after year. So here are some of our beginning ingredients for our pumpkin arrangement. Here's our pumpkin vase, and here is our fresh floral foam Oasis. Now, when you go to Michael's and AC Moore, some of the craft stores, they'll often have this. It's once again called fresh floral foam. Now, there's also a floral foam that's for dried arrangements or arrangements that have plastic stemmed flowers. You don't want to use the dried foam for that because that will not absorb water. We're going to soak the fresh floral, boy, this is like a real tongue twister, Oasis foam into the water because your stems are going to need to absorb water so that they stay fresh. So one thing to remember when you're soaking the fresh foam is not to push it into the water. We filled our preen bucket up with some water, and what we're going to do is just kind of let it absorb the water on its own. Some people make the mistake of pushing it down, and when they push it down, it creates dry pockets. And when you have those dry pockets inside the middle of your foam, any of the stems that touch those dry pockets will not be absorbing water, and you'll have random stems that die. So this will eventually sink down on its own. It doesn't take very long. It takes literally a few minutes. So they have something called instant foam now, which happens very, very fast. So once again, I'm just kind of moving it a little bit, but I'm not pushing it down. So once that gets all absorbed, we took the block out and we carved it into the shape to fit inside the vessel. And here is what our moist Oasis fresh foam looks like. So we just simply took a knife, because I don't want you to wait all day. We basically just took a knife and we carved off the corners that we didn't need, and we made it fit inside of our pumpkin here. And then we also added some water on the bottom. So this is in here, and we have water up to about here just to keep this Oasis constantly moist for your stems. So the first thing we're going to do is take some of our greens. Now, we've chosen some lemon leaf tips as our greens, but we also found that hydrangea leaves work really nicely. And you can take a walk around your garden or your yard and take a look at what any kind of green leaves are available. And what we did was we cut our leaves on an angle so that we have ultimate water absorption, because you want to keep your greens looking fresh also. And we're going to start greening out our arrangement. Now, I want to have kind of a rounded flower arrangement up top because my vase is kind of rounded, so I thought that would be a cool look. Now, when you start greening out your arrangement, it's going to kind of dictate how tall the arrangement's going to be with these primo guys in the middle. So I'm going to start with these guys, and then I'm going to start building out the sides to kind of be a little more rounded. Be careful that you don't make a newbie mistake as you're using Oasis. Sometimes people put their stems in Oasis and they wind up coming up the top like this. And they think that since it's secure, it's okay. But this tip right now, since it's not hitting the Oasis that has water, this is going to dry out. So be careful with your flowers and with your foliage that it doesn't pop out of the Oasis, because right now this Oasis isn't helping this guy at all. So make sure all your stems are always deep inside the wet Oasis. And we're going to start greening this guy out. And to save some time, I'm going to show you the finished version of our greened out pumpkin, which looks more like this. But I had stolen the top two pieces earlier, so I'm going to put them back. So you can see I like the shape of this. It's got the height that I like. It's got the roundness. All of my stems are inside the Oasis, and I kind of just spun the vase around to make sure that there weren't any gaps. Like right now I'm looking and I'm seeing a gap here, so I'm gonna green that guy out here. And once you add your flowers, sometimes I even add additional greens if I feel like there are some holes. But right now I'm pretty happy with the shape that this guy is in, and I'm gonna start adding some flowers as my next step. So the next step, now that we had everything nice and greened out, we're gonna start putting in our primo flowers, like our larger ones that are really gonna be kind of a focal point. So I chose some of my dried out PG and limelight hydrangeas. And what happens with the hydrangea is they hate Oasis when they are fresh. But this guy is dried out. So dried out hydrangea are fine to use in an arrangement like this. But don't ever put fresh, just blooming hydrangea in Oasis because it will flop. But this guy's safe. And then I have some sedum, and I've got some primo high and magic roses that I love. So we're gonna add this guy in. I'm putting him inside the Oasis and making sure that he goes in and gets a lot of moisture. He's not popping out the other end. And I'm gonna basically, once again, keep my shape with these primo flowers all the way around. And then once I have my primo flower shape, I'm gonna add a few more of these orange roses, and then I'm gonna start adding my secondary flowers. So these are kind of like almost like the filler cutesies that give it a little bit of interest. So we'll add some of these. I cut my flowers on an angle so that they have maximum water absorption. And when you're arranging flowers, pretend you're holding a pen. A lot of times people will be arranging flowers and they push things in and they're shoving them, and what happens is they get something called bent neck, where the necks actually break because people were too rough with them. So you don't want bent neck, because then your flower will eventually droop, because it needs to have this stem to absorb all the water, and it needs to be nice and firm and sturdy and straight. So use your flowers like a pen and very gently look for a space where there's an Oasis opening, and then you just insert your flowers into the Oasis. And sometimes you have to jiggle a little bit because there's other stems holding up that real estate, but eventually you'll find it. If you do pull it out, it's not a good idea to pull out the flower from the Oasis, because now the tip is in an air pocket. So if you ever do it a little bit too deep inside the Oasis, you're going to want to start over again, because you want to have contact with the bottom of the stem with that wet Oasis foam. You don't want to have an air pocket in between there. So I'm going to put this guy in like that. Now he's nice and secure. And I'm going to do a little spin here. Take a look where there's some openings. Once again, I'm holding it like a pen. And I'm being gentle with my neighbors, because I don't want to bend their stems either. I'm going to spin around, spin around. Oh, there's a little ladybug here. We're going to make her happy by putting her on the wall here. Sorry, little ladybug. Once again, I'm looking for my Oasis real estate to put this in. And so now we have kind of the basic design that we want. And we're gonna keep doing this by adding more and more of these miniature flowers that we like. This one happens to be called Ring of Fire Sunflower. We grew a ton of these this year, we love them. And we're gonna go all the way around the arrangement, and then we're gonna add more and more, and then if we have to add a couple greens too, we'll do that until we're happy with what it looks like. And we're gonna show you the finished product now. Okay, so here's our final stage. Lucy came in for the snuggle of the day for the final stage of the pumpkin. So once again, we kept spinning our pumpkin, adding our miniature flowers. We added more greens where there were some holes. We actually took some of the greens out where we didn't like how the shape looked at the end. And you'll keep kind of futzing with this until it's the shape that you like. But this is the finished product. And since it's from nature, you can't go wrong with this. So it's going to have all different sizes and shapes when you first start building your arrangements. And you know what? The nice thing about it is they're all terrific, because nature is not set and symmetrical, and sometimes it's crazy and wild. And so feel free to have fun with this arrangement. And once again, it doesn't have to have a spherical look. It could look however you want it, because nature is really cool and really funky, and it should be fun. So enjoy your pumpkin arrangements, and feel free to follow us on our gardener's blog on Cranburyfields.com. That's our website, and feel free to subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you watch more of our videos, and we also have an Instagram and Cranbury Fields at Facebook also. So thanks for joining us today, everybody.